Do you want to stop making game-ending mistakes that leave you smashing your monitor to pieces? Well, today, we're going to reveal 30 mistakes you'll be making during every stage of the game. Some of these are deadly and will keep you from reaching your full potential. 1. Right off the bat, one of the first mistakes you could be making is not playing with optimized settings. If you're playing Fortnite and haven't at least turned on the audio-visual settings or even changed the graphics to get the best frames, you're limiting yourself. 2. Now this next mistake happens in the lobby. Every game, there's at least 2 or 3 players who go AFK. They think time is on their side and they decide to move away from the screen for just a second. By the time they get back, they're in the water on the far side of the island. Well, at least the player that comes back first gets some free kills. If you don't want to be left behind in the competition, click on the link below and head on over to ProGuides.com. You'll find exclusive insider strategies, guides, and even boot camps where you can interact with some of your favorite players. You can even get coaching, which will transform you from a noob to a pro. 3. So let's say you didn't miss the bus. One thing every pro knows but many noobs forget is to keep their eyes on the competition. Many noobs make the mistake of spotting something blue or purple in the distance and immediately try to land on it. I mean, it's good loot, right? Well, these players forget to check the skies only to realize someone else was in the area and will touch ground first. Now it's panic time to find a better landing spot. 4. Ironically, players who don't panic the landing will sometimes double down on the bad spot, hoping that by some chance they can still get to the loot before their opponent does. This is why checking the skies is important when deploying. It gives you time to readjust your descent. It also helps to have an idea of where you want to land rather than jumping randomly at the shiniest loot. 5. Finally, while a great tip to mastering early game is landing at the same spot over and over again, you can also make the mistake of spending too much time learning one trick. Good players have at least 3 POIs memorized, and each of them are a good distance away from each other, so they'll never be caught off guard by the bus path. Let's test your game knowledge. So many of these items are staples in Fortnite, but one of these was not around during the preseason. The grenade, bandages, the minis, and the medkit. Think you know which one missed the battle bus? Answers revealed later. 6. Speaking of chests, what's taking you so long to get set up? Are you seriously just pressing X on every chest you find? If you want to move fast, you need to stop with this mistake and instead work on your looting speed. If a chest is on top of a table or a breakable structure, then use your pickaxe instead. Hitting the object that keeps the chest suspended is a good way to focus on harvesting mats and still get some loot in the process. 7. By the way, on the topic of harvesting mats, you'd be surprised at how many new players don't hit the weak spots when using their pickaxe. Come on, guys. 8. When picking your first augment of the game, you don't have to pick right away. In fact, if your first choices don't help you in general, you should wait till you have a decent loadout, then decide based on the weapons you're running in your inventory. 9. Do you like llamas? Finding a llama is great, and getting the loot inside is even better. But you need to stop hitting it with your shotgun or even your SMG when you spot it. Slide kick the llama instead to stun it, then build a box around it. Now you can take all the time you need to get the loot inside. 10. Shiny loot isn't always the prize to keep an eye out for. If you're only looting chests during your match, you're missing out. Ammo caches are just as important, and too many new players don't pay attention to them when going after the best loot. 11. Finally, if you're going to loot an opponent for their hard-earned loot, don't forget to box up if you're picking up more than one item. Also, don't blindly run towards a fallen enemy if you're a good distance away. Other enemies might be expecting you to get closer and may be getting ready to take you down. 12. Let's check out some fighting mistakes. One very bad habit players bring with them from other games is only reloading after firing their weapon. Sure, this is manageable when you have your primary and a secondary, but with 5 item slots, keeping everything reloaded can slip your mind, especially after a hot firefight. If you're not near any opponents, scroll through your inventory and reload. 13. Hopping off that last mistake, if all of your item slots are weapons, you're gonna have a bad time, even if they're all mythics and legendaries. Save at least 2 slots for healing items and utilities. 14. Also, if you don't have your inventory management settings optimized, weapons and items will mix together rather than getting automatically slotted into spaces you can easily reach them. This will make a huge difference if you're trying to take advantage of a split-second peek later on. 15. If you're having a hard time deciding which healing items to focus on keeping, then try this. Floppers and Chug Splash are great for instant on-the-go healing. However, instead of using them when you don't need to, consider temporarily dropping them when the coast is clear so you can set up a shield keg or a med kit. These items are usually more common, and if you have the option, use those, then pick up what you dropped before going on your way. 16. If you're fighting an opponent from a distance, don't rush to engage. Be patient and try to go for that first hit accuracy. This is a great way to start a fight, and at times can even let you beam an opponent to death before he has the chance to do anything else. 17. Speaking of rushing, one thing we all tend to do is double down on a bad choice of a weapon during the worst possible scenario. If you miss your chance at a one-hit kill with a shotgun, you might be tempted to keep firing and hope the rest of the shots will land. However, the delay between shots gives your opponent plenty of time to get some distance or even start fighting back. So, even if you do manage to land the second shot, odds are you won't be doing as much damage as you think while your opponent has the perfect chance to spray you to death. 18. The same mistake applies to sniping. Unless the sniper has a fast fire rate, stop emptying your entire magazine on an opponent you missed the first time. Also, change your positioning too. Snipers have glare now, and even though it's been out for a while, some players still need to adjust to it. 19. If you're caught off guard or without loot, some players try to rush towards an NPC or a vending machine to get a quick weapon. Don't do this. Shifting your focus away from your opponent during a fight will only secure their victory. 20. One of the deadliest mistakes you'll make as a new player is being indecisive, which is actually a lot worse than making the wrong play. If you have a strategy to take on an opponent, clear your mind and follow through. If you succeed, then great. If you didn't, at least you can learn why it didn't work instead of leaving yourself open. 21. Many players choose to heal after a fight is done. After all, it's safe, right? Well, healing during a fight can also help you out because it throws your opponent off, especially if they're trying to keep count of your health with every shot they take. 22. When finding an opponent, keep an eye on where they're going before you start shooting them. If they're weaving in and out of an obscured area, taking the first shot will only alert them. However, if they're headed towards an open area and they don't know you're there yet, let them make themselves an easier target before making yourself known. 23. One more fighting mistake that everyone makes. If your opponent starts building that sweaty tower, you don't have to fight. In fact, your opponent is probably expecting you to try to find a way to beat them. However, by the time they get in a position to attack you, if you're not there anymore, then they just wasted all those maps for nothing. 24. No matter how fast you can build, if you start the build with only one ramp and no support, everything else goes down the drain. 25. After watching so many pros make lightning fast builds, it can be tempting to start training your speed. However, what matters most is consistency. Being able to place the right combination of builds in the right order is what gets you those perfect 90s and will allow you to make edits that work. 26. When players are learning how to take advantage of peaks, one of the first mistakes they make is always moving directly towards the spot they want to edit. This can make you predictable, and if your opponent is watching, they'll expect the strategy. Don't forget to click on the link below and find out how you can get trained by a pro Fortnite player. 27. Resetting an edit is a great tactic that often goes overlooked in the heat of the moment. You're only focused on getting that first edit right when you could also trick your opponent by making an edit, resetting when they move to intercept you, then quickly edit a different part of the wall to catch them while their attention is away. 28. Building takes practice, and one of the best ways to do so is on creative. However, because of this, players keep making these mistakes. You didn't adjust your settings while training, so now that you have less ping and less FPS, your builds and edits are a bit off. 29. Another mistake you'll definitely make is forgetting to look at your building material count. Remember, you don't have an infinite supply, so what will happen when you really need it? 30. Aside from knowing your material count, you'll also make mistakes by overbuilding. If you got the skills to crank 90s, then that's great. But if you're cranking 90s on every player regardless of skill levels, then you're just wasting mats when you could be saving them for the fights that count. If you guessed minis during the question of the day, you get a battle star. Whew, that is a lot of tips. If you liked the video, leave a like and ring that bell, and we'll see you next time here at ProGuides.